Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into the alarming signs that your job might be harming your mental health. We're going to discuss 10 signs that your job might be taking a toll, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Let's get started. We all feel tired after a long day, right? But if you're constantly drained, even after a full night's sleep, it might be a sign that your job is taking a toll. This kind of fatigue runs deeper than just needing an extra cup of coffee. It's like your body's telling you it's running on fumes emotionally and mentally. If you're constantly pushing yourself to the limit, eventually something's gotta give. And that something is often our mental well-being. So if you're feeling this kind of deep-seated exhaustion, don't ignore it. It's your body trying to tell you something's not right. It's time to take a step back, reassess, and figure out how to refuel your tank. Remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. Ever feel like your temper is shorter than usual? Like the smallest things set you off? It could be your job messing with your chill. When we're constantly stressed at work, our internal fuse gets shorter. This increased irritability can seep into every aspect of our lives, affecting our relationships. It's like carrying around this invisible weight of frustration that colors everything we do. But here's the thing. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the people around you. You deserve to feel calm, collected, and in control of your emotions. So if you find yourself snapping at your loved ones, it's time to examine what role your job might be playing. Because remember, you are not your anger. You are a complex, wonderful human being who deserves to feel at peace. Remember when you were excited about your work? But now, the thought of work just fills you with dread. You're just going through the motions, devoid of any real passion or enthusiasm. This is a classic sign of burnout. And it's not just about your job, it can spill over into other areas of your life too. Suddenly, the hobbies you used to love feel like chores. But it's important to remember that this lack of motivation isn't a personal failing. It's often a symptom of a larger problem. A job that's no longer fulfilling, or worse, one that's actively harming your mental health. So, if you find yourself relating to this feeling of emptiness, it's time to ask yourself some tough questions. Okay, so we've talked about the emotional and mental signs that your job might be hurting you. But what about the physical ones? Our minds and bodies are connected. If you're constantly stressed or unhappy at work, don't be surprised if your body starts sending out distress signals. We're talking headaches that just won't quit, stomach issues, and muscle tension. And then there's the fatigue, that bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of sleep can seem to cure. But here's the thing about these physical symptoms. We often brush them off. What if these physical ailments are our body's way of trying to tell us that something is seriously wrong? We're social creatures by nature. We crave connection, interaction, and belonging. These interactions are what make our workdays enjoyable and fulfilling. But when your job starts to affect your mental health, you might find yourself withdrawing from the very people who bring you joy. It starts subtly, almost imperceptibly. Maybe you decline a few invitations, opting for a quiet night in instead. You tell yourself it's just for now, just until you feel better. You're too tired, you tell yourself, too busy. The workload is just too much, and you need some time alone to recharge. But as time goes on, the excuses become more frequent, the isolation more profound. You start to feel disconnected from your team. Suddenly, you're avoiding phone calls, screening texts, and dreading social gatherings. The thought of engaging feels like a burden. The thought of making small talk feels exhausting. And the idea of sharing your true feelings feels overwhelming. You start to feel like an outsider. This social withdrawal is not a sign of weakness, it's a coping mechanism. It's your mind's way of protecting itself from further stress. But isolation often makes things worse, leading to feelings of loneliness, shame, and despair. The more you withdraw, the harder it becomes to reconnect. If you find yourself relating to this pattern of social withdrawal, it's crucial to reach out for help. Don't wait until it feels unbearable. Talk to a trusted friend, family member, or mental health professional. Opening up can be the first step towards healing and regaining your sense of connection. Remember when you used to be a productivity machine? When you could tackle any task with ease and confidence? You'd breeze through your to-do list, effortlessly juggling tasks and crushing deadlines, feeling unstoppable. But lately, it's like your focus has flown the coop, and your motivation has gone on a permanent vacation. The once clear path to productivity now seems foggy and uncertain. You sit down to work, but the words just won't come. The cursor blinks back at you, mocking your inability to produce. You stare at your computer screen, willing yourself to focus, but your mind is a jumbled mess of anxiety and dread. The pressure feels insurmountable. This is what happens when job stress starts to affect our cognitive function. The constant demands and high expectations take a toll. Our brains, overwhelmed by constant pressure and worry, simply can't function at their optimal level. They become bogged down by the weight of stress. And it's not just about work either. The impact of this stress can ripple through every aspect of our lives. This decreased productivity can seep into our personal lives. We find ourselves unable to complete even simple tasks at home. We procrastinate, we avoid, and we beat ourselves up for our perceived failings. The cycle of stress and self-criticism continues. When our brains are in a constant state of stress, they go into survival mode, prioritizing perceived threats over everything else. This survival mode hinders our ability to think clearly and act efficiently. Sleep, that glorious escape from the daily grind, that restorative haven where our bodies and minds recharge. But what happens when work stress starts to invade even our dreams? You lie in bed, your mind racing with thoughts of deadlines and presentations. Hours tick by, but sleep remains elusive, replaced by a relentless cycle of worry and anxiety. And when you do finally drift off, it's not the restful slumber you crave. Instead, you're plagued by vivid dreams, often work-related, that leave you feeling drained and exhausted. It robs us of the very thing we need most to cope with its effects: sleep. So, if you find yourself struggling to fall asleep, stay asleep, or wake up feeling refreshed, it's time to take a closer look at the role stress might be playing in your life. We all experience anxiety from time to time. It's a part of life, a natural reaction to the challenges we face. It's a normal human emotion, a natural response to stress or perceived threats. It can even be helpful, pushing us to perform better or stay alert. But when anxiety becomes a constant companion, a relentless shadow that follows you even outside the workplace, it's time to pay attention. This is no longer just a fleeting feeling. It's something more persistent and troubling. Maybe it starts with a racing heart and sweaty palms as you walk into the office each morning. The dread builds up, making each step feel heavier. Or perhaps it's a feeling of impending doom that washes over you every time you check your email. The sight of a new message can send your mind spiraling into worst-case scenarios. Whatever the trigger, the symptoms are clear. Your body is in fight-or-flight mode, convinced that danger lurks around every corner. Your mind races and your body reacts as if it's under attack. And as the stress mounts, so too can the intensity of the anxiety. The pressure builds and it feels like there's no escape. Panic attacks, once a rarity, become more frequent, leaving you feeling terrified and helpless. These episodes can be debilitating, making it hard to function. This is what happens when work stress morphs into a full-blown anxiety disorder. It's not just stress anymore, it's a serious mental health issue. It's a serious condition that requires professional help, but the good news is that it's treatable. With the right support and strategies, you can manage your anxiety and reclaim your peace of mind. Our thoughts have incredible power. They shape our perceptions, influence our emotions, and ultimately determine the course of our lives. But what happens when those thoughts turn negative? When our inner critic becomes a relentless bully? It starts subtly, a nagging doubt about your abilities, a critical voice questioning your every decision. But over time, these negative thoughts gain momentum, weaving themselves into the fabric of our being until they become our default setting. And as the negativity takes root, it begins to poison everything it touches. We doubt our worth, sabotage our relationships, and shy away from opportunities for growth and fulfillment. This is the insidious nature of negative thinking. It's a thief of joy, a saboteur of dreams, and a major contributor to stress, anxiety, and depression. While it's impossible to completely silence that inner critic, we can learn to manage its volume and challenge its distorted perceptions. Remember that feeling of pure joy, that sense of excitement and fulfillment that came from pursuing your passions? But as work demands increase and stress levels rise, it's easy to let those passions fall by the wayside. We tell ourselves we're too busy, too tired, too stressed to make time for the things we love. And slowly but surely, those activities that once brought us so much joy fade into the background. This is one of the most insidious ways that work can harm our mental health. It robs us of the very things that make life worth living. Our passions are not luxuries, they're essential to our well-being. If you recognize any of these signs in yourself, it's important to take action. Talk to a mental health professional, consider making changes at work, or even look for a new job if necessary. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips on taking care of your mental health.